We made it. We made it to the end of this year, 2025. And damn, what a good year it's been for video games. Probably even too good of a year, which is not a thing. But it does make our job at GameSpot just a little bit harder because we play a lot of games. We love a lot of games. But at the end of every year, we have to deliberate and decide the top 10 best games of the year. It's never easy, but we do our best. So trust me, if your game's not on there, it doesn't mean one of us weren't fighting for it. It just means we as the team agreed on these 10. So let's kick it off and hear about those top 10 games from the very people who love them so.
I'm a big fan of beat 'em ups, and they've been around for a very, very long time. And it's wild to me that we haven't gotten a very good example of one kind of meshed together with a roguelike, roguelike stuff is all over the place now, and it just makes so much sense. You've got a game that is originally designed to send you all the way back to the main menu, tied to this idea of a game where you get stronger so you can come back and get further every time. It works perfectly. Guard Crush and .emu worked real hard with their expertise in beat 'em ups that they've already got to bring these together in a really cool, unique way. Maybe one of the best beat 'em ups I've played, maybe ever, I think. It's a very beautiful game with a banging soundtrack. Whether you're walking through a forest with a whole bunch of deep red leaves falling down around you, or walking up a coast littered with stone archways, or like a distant skeleton of a dragon off in the distance, you're going to be enjoying everything you're seeing with your eyes and enjoying everything that you're hearing with your ears. And the real standout for the soundtrack, for me at least, was a lot of the guest composed boss themes. One of them done by Mick Gordon and another one done by Yuka Kitamura. I also really, really love the characters you play in this game. They all have very different and unique gameplay styles that are great for all different archetypes of beat 'em up fans. And on top of their base kits that you can also get these illegal magics that are outlawed, and they all kind of mesh together to help build out these really cool, interesting scenarios every time you run. And there are so many different ones that either stand alone by themselves or even cross mesh with each other. It's wild and crazy, and sometimes it's really neat, just like a lot of other roguelikes, to see the different ways you can kind of break the game. And it's all of these things together that really make Absalom feel like something special to me, and that is what makes Absalom one of GameSpot's best games of 2025.
Blueprints is one of the best games of the year. It was my personal favorite game of the year. So Blueprints is a roguelike where you are going through this house. Each time you enter the house, you have a choice of rooms. It'll give you a selection. Some rooms advantage you, some rooms actually disadvantage you. But even the ones that disadvantage you, they have their uses. So each time you're starting a new day, the house resets. You go back and draw a new set of rooms and make your way through the house. You're ultimately trying to reach certain rooms or reach certain keys within the house, but all of that shifts as the game goes on. When you start out the game, it's got a kind of subtly creepy vibe. It seems almost like a horror game, but it's not. It's a puzzle game. You're exploring this weird mansion. There's all sorts of mysteries to explore about this strange family and what happened to them. Why is the house empty? Why does the house reset every day? As you go through the house and unpeel all these puzzle layers, you start sort of using the rooms to solve the puzzle that is this house, the mysteries of the house, how to get through the house, how to fulfill certain objectives about the house. Then at one point near the end of the game, the end of the main game, I should say, it takes a sort of magical turn where you start learning that not only are the rooms sort of the keys to unlock the house, but the house is sort of the skeleton key that unlocks all these other objectives. You're training yourself to wield the house like a tool. You're learning how to shape it to fulfill different objectives you need to complete. And that is just a magical turnaround that made it one of the best experiences of the year for me, unlocking the mystery of the house, unlocking the mysteries of all these individual rooms, and also how to actually use the house to your advantage. It was so cool. And that is why Blueprints is one of GameSpot's best games of 2025.
Clear Obscure Expedition 33 comes from a French developer called Sandfall Interactive, and they knew exactly what they wanted to make. That's because the game that they wanted to make was inspired by the games that they loved and played growing up. Those games include Final Fantasy, The Legend of Zelda, Saga, and more recently games like Dark Souls, Nier Automata, and Sekiro. The game is about a journey to find out why people of a certain age are being eliminated from existence. And it's one that deals with heavy subject matter like grief, loss, and what happens when you refuse to move on. The moment that really clicked for me was actually in combat. The game is turn-based, which means going back to the Final Fantasy games that is inspired by, and it really clicks into place when you realize that you are never out of the fight. Thanks to the parry system, you can always pick yourself back up, and even if you're just one character against a divine entity that can eliminate thousands of people at the stroke of a brush, you can still make a comeback. And when you do, that is when you'll realize the power of what that game is. And if that doesn't work, then you get to enjoy the brilliant story, which comes together in such a heartfelt, emotional, and empathetic way at the end. And that is one of the many reasons why Clear Obscure Expedition 33 is one of GameSpot's best games of 2025.
Let SDN be your rock, so you can rock.
SDN is not an insurance company and does not cover damages to property, persons, or animals.
She's definitely not making it to band practice.
You know, I knew I was gonna love Dispatch because of the pedigree of the people working on it. I'm a huge fan of Telltale games. But what blew me away about Dispatch was the level of production values that this game has to offer. There were so many moments when playing this game that I would accidentally call it a TV show or say I am watching it, which sounds derogatory, but I really don't mean it that way. I still think it is absolutely a video game, but it never feels like a video game because of how much effort has gone into the animation, the locations, the voice talent. I think this game absolutely stands up there with many of the prestigious television shows you could be watching right now, except guess what? It's even better because you actually get to play it and interact with its story and shape it just like those classic Telltale games. I want to give a particular shout out to a lot of the smaller characters. Obviously, Aaron Paul is great as Robert Robertson III, but the smaller characters, many of them voiced by YouTubers that, I'll be honest, I tend to kind of frown my face at when I hear that, but I think a lot of them actually did a really incredible job. And a combination of their talent and the talent of the writing team created some of my most favorite memorable characters of the year. It's really nice to have something like Dispatch where you get to go back to it every week, talk about it with your friends, talk about it with your loved ones, get excited about what happened that week, and then see what happened in the next week before the big finale. It's something that I've missed from video games, and I'm glad that we have it again with Dispatch. And for that reason and many others, that is why Dispatch is one of GameSpot's 10 best games of 2025.
When Elden Ring Night Reign was first announced, I didn't know if it was for me. I have played so many From Software games. Elden Ring is one of my favorite games of all time, but turning that experience into a weird sort of cooperative roguelite style game just didn't seem like it would fit the Elden Ring From Software style formula. And to some extent, it kind of didn't. Even when I started playing it, I wasn't entirely sure if it was for me. However, the more I started to play it, the more I realized that it kind of does one of my favorite things that the other From Software games do. And that is, after you've played through one of those games once or twice and you're familiar with that world, you kind of rush through the map. You mainline all the different bosses that you want to hit, you get the equipment you want, and it creates this almost like speed run experience that is something, for me at least, unique to those games. I don't really speed run, but for some reason, Bloodborne was a game that I would try to mainline as quickly as I could. I'd make fun builds as quickly as I can. And Elden Ring Night Rain kind of feels like the bite-sized version of that. And once I got past that it isn't like classic From Software games, I really got into it. The more I started to understand the different night fares, the more I figured out the patterns of bosses, the more I figured out which areas are worth my time and which aren't. And the way I'd almost create new runs on the fly with teammates who are also as invested as me. And there's this awesome team experience at the core of that game that I think makes it so much fun. I have put 120 hours in. I've already put like 10 hours in on the DLC. It is, without a doubt, one of GameSpot's best games of 2025.
Well, daughter of Hades.
The thing about Hades 2, more than most other sequels, is that it's coming from a game that had very few glaring errors. And before playing Hades 2, there was seemingly no way to improve upon that formula. And yet, somehow, Supergiant found a way to make a marked improvement in every aspect. While Hades 1 is still a really fun game to play, it's kind of hard to go back to after playing Hades 2. Whereas Hades 1 had great characters and great writing, the story is rather straightforward, and in Hades 2, all of the different interactions, the mystery behind what happened to Zagreus and Hades, everything to do with Kronos, and then of course you have all of the Olympian gods and everything we get to see and learn about them. It's just so much deeper and richer than the first game. That richness expands to the gameplay with the incredible Arcana card system. You have the different resources that you can collect, and then on top of the run down into Tartarus, you have a full run above ground and everything to do with the Olympians' war against Kronos up top. It's like a whole nother game that's right there, and it's just built in to this single experience, and it provides such an amazing contrast to the run down to facing Kronos. It's a real testament, I think, to the work ethic of Supergiant, and a real testament to their early access model and their feedback loop that they have with their players. They really could have probably just spit out a Hades sequel without putting too much thought into it, and people would have loved it, but they really took the time to make sure that it was really pushing the boundaries of that game's format and bringing something that is head and shoulders above the first game, despite the first game being one of the greatest roguelikes ever made. And that is why Hades 2 is one of GameSpot's best games of 2025.
Playing through Keeper is like moving through a painting. It's beautiful, it's filled with imagination and creativity, and while the story is not entirely clear, it feels like it's saying so much while literally not saying anything at all. This is a completely wordless game, which is especially ironic coming from a studio like Double Fine Productions, which has built its entire identity on good writing and characters. And yet, Keeper tells an amazing story without any of that, while never ham-fisting the emotions it wants you to feel. Instead, it just presents things, a world, and this sort of confident display of what the studio is capable of doing, and it's up to you to just move through it. Sure, if you want to whittle it down, it's about a lighthouse that comes to life and you befriend a bird and you have to go to this thing in the distance that's calling upon you, but it's such a simple narrative that everything else, the narrative that you feel, that the things that you see are uplifted by the actual moment-to-moment gameplay. And if there's any way I can really explain it in one word, it's pure. The game just feels pure. It feels like it was made by a group of people who simply just wanted to create. Seeing Keeper come out in like a post-Psychonauts 2 world where Double Fine had put out their biggest, most ambitious game yet, and then Keeper is their follow-up, a 4 to 5 hour basically art piece, I think is a testament to that studio, its creativity, its imagination, and its ability to just simply want to make something that makes it so pure, that makes it so imaginative and inspiring in a year that is filled with lots of games about bad stuff, about grief, and of course, whatever the the future holds for technology and creativity. But we still have things like Keeper. I strongly recommend that you take the time, just 3 to 5 hours, to move through this painting, to take it at your own time, to experience it and relish in its whimsy pureness. And that is why it is well deserving of being in GameSpot's Best of the Year.
Yesterday, a guest went missing. A young woman named Evelyn Dean. Everyone here carries on as if nothing has happened.
Hey! Are you pretty nosy like me? You know, some drama's going on, you don't really want to get involved in it, but you want to know exactly what's happening. The Seance of Blake Manor is just a whole game about that. It's the best experience I've had all year. Okay, seriously though, you are an investigator, you go to a mysterious manor where you've been summoned. A woman has gone missing. But then there's a bunch of people there and they are there to go to a seance and try and talk to the dead. So at the same time, you're trying to find this missing woman that, by the way, like no one else cares about. And so it kind of feels like you're going, hey, can we just please try and find this missing person? Everyone else is like, yeah, but I have unresolved problems and I'm gonna make them your problem. And also I wanna go to this seance. It's great. You root through people's things, you read messages, you get ripped things and put them back together, you talk to everyone, you find get the keys to locked places, you go through catacombs. It is awesome. It is everything I want from a detective game. And on top of that, I grew up in England and I shamefully know very little about Ireland. This game not only introduced a bunch of things that I'd never learned about Ireland, never been taught about Ireland, but did it in such a way where it was like, yes, this is important to the investigation, but also it gave me the agency and the ability to go and research it on my own within the game and then take that and do it outside of the game too, because it's given me that knowledge. And so I think that is something that is very commendable. On top of it all, it's just a really satisfying and elegantly made detective game. Threads come together, like you pull at a thread, you unweave a whole big old tangle of webs. And I loved it. I loved every single second of it. I was genuinely sat with a bunch of scrunched up papers because I had leads that I wanted to follow, empty coffee cups. I don't smoke, but you know, the intent was there, the visual intent for this metaphor was there. I thought it was a great game. And that's why The Seance of Blake Manor is one of the 10 best games of 2025 on GameSpot.
Silent Hill F is an incredibly bold game. It's one that I didn't necessarily expect coming out of a AAA studio or Konami. It is very upfront about its themes and its messages in a way that not a lot of these big titles are. Sometimes I feel like it kind of goes either way, where you have stuff that kind of feels a little too pandering, or you have stuff that doesn't meaningfully interact with its themes, whereas this is just right on the money every single time, and it handles everything beautifully. On top of that, it's just an absolutely beautiful game. The creature designs, the set pieces, the locations, everything I think is honestly really underrated, and I say that even though this isn't our top 10 list. It's absolutely gorgeous. The music, the sound design, how haunting it is, and how it's not necessarily horror in kind of like the jumpy, gory way that you might think of, but it just really has this kind of oppressive atmosphere and this unsettling feeling that lingers with you. It tells its story in a really unique way where not everything is as it seems. Not everything is given to you right at the start of playing. You really kind of have to look around the environment and read between the lines and play the game multiple times and fight multiple bosses. And each time you do these playthroughs, there are so many little tweaks and conversations that you didn't hear before, or locations that you couldn't go to before. And it makes it this really compelling experience that even though I ended up playing the game like 4 times, I never grew tired of it and never felt stale. I think if I had to describe the game in one word, it honestly would be cathartic. There was nothing else that offered quite the same release this year, whether it was me being Hinako and hitting some decaying flower monster with a lead pipe and that like actual visceral catharsis, or just, you know, watching this character kind of mourn her life and her lack of choices. It's a really beautiful game, and I really am happy it exists. And that's why Silent Hill F is one of GameSpot's top 10 games of 2025.
Who better to talk about Hollow Knight Silksong than GameSpot's Hollow Knight Sicko? This game is fantastic. It takes one of the best Metroidvanias from the 2010s and just improves upon it in almost every conceivable way. The gameplay is polished, the world design is incredibly detailed, the art style is refined. Everything about what worked in the original Hollow Knight is front and center, just better in Silksong. More so than anything else is the protagonist. Hornet in Silksong is fantastic. She pushes the narrative forward in a very interesting way that I don't want to get into too much because of spoilers, but you desperately need to play through her story to see how it deals with heritage and obligation as the descendant of 3 warrior princesses of different capacities. Seeing Hornet come into her own in this game is phenomenal and makes for one of the best stories of 2025. One of my favorite aspects of Hollow Knight Silksong is how it always keeps you on your toes, whether that's secret ambushes, just discovering more areas. You always think that you've seen everything that this game has to offer, and then all of a sudden a random enemy attacks your camp, or you break open a wall and stumble into this mysterious mist, or you go into a brand new area and you're shown a cutscene that's deeply horrifying and you're like, what the hell is going on? Silksong does so much, just draw you into its world, into its mystery, and you desperately want to solve it. It's not quite a detective game, but it leans into that draw to make you want to keep playing, to explore, to find out what's going on, so you can figure out what's going on with Hornet herself. And for those reasons and more, that's why Hollow Knight Silksong is one of GameSpot's best games of 2025.
And there you have it. And yes, if you don't already know, GameSpot's Game of the Year was Claire Obscure Expedition 33. And there's a whole video that you can watch that breaks down exactly why we deemed it such a thing. Now, of course, there was a lot of good games that I loved personally that didn't make on this top 10, but we try our best to at least try and showcase those games when we can. So if you're interested, make sure to watch our staff picks video, which is coming out right after this one, which shows some of those cool games, including, I don't know, maybe Ann Roger, a little pick from Lucy James over there. There's a lot of good games this year. And most of all, you were cool this year, at least I hope so. Make sure to continue being cool. Make sure to play what you play, enjoy what you enjoy, and just, be good. Have fun. Embrace it. Gaming's cool. All right. Thanks for watching. Till next year. See ya.